April 15th, 1979 was one of the most consequential days in my life as a kid, as a Star Wars fan, and as a collector. That Easter Sunday, I woke up excited to see what goodies the Easter Bunny had left me. In our household, the Easter Bunny was Santa Light, sugar-free Santa, if you will. As a kid, some of my coolest toys were Easter basket stuffers. While there wasn't an Easter tree with 1,000 toys wrapped up beneath it, there was at least one big-ticket toy item in my basket every year. My mother, spoiler alert, she was the Easter Bunny, always made sure we got one big item there among the chocolate bunnies, Peeps, jelly beans, and later in the 1980s, Cadbury eggs, which she liked way more than I did, so normally she ended up stealing all of my Cadbury eggs every year. But that was fine, I thought they were gross. However, 1979 Easter, I couldn't be bothered with chocolate bunnies or even the burden of hunting eggs. Knowing what was waiting for me on the kitchen table, I rushed through all of these things that were suddenly boring, all in anticipation of what awaited in the basket. Not even the prized plastic egg and all its gold shimmery goodness, with $5 in it, which was a lot of money in 1979, was all that thrilling. It was all about the magic in the basket. There, among the bright, day-glow green tissue grass, was a Large Size Princess Leia action figure from Kenner. She was the only thing I had wanted more over the last few months than the long-awaited Star Wars minifigures or the Death Star playset I'd be getting for my birthday in a few weeks. I took Leia out of the box and discovered the booklet showing her various hairdos. They even gave a name to her hairdo, something far more exotic and exciting than buns, or the almost insulting way some people referred to them as cinnamon buns. Star Puffs, that's what you called them. For me and a visiting aunt, the booklet was a sure sign we needed to undo those Star Puffs. We then spent the rest of the afternoon trying to get our hair back in its rightful formation. That was a process. And during that process, I dropped the comb that came with her, and it fell between the cracks of my grandparents' front porch. So I had to go under there, in the dirt, with daddy long-legged spiders, to recover that bright blue plastic comb. By the end of the day, Leia's dress was dirty, and my mother washed it by hand with a splash of woolite in the sink, and dried it so that Leia was bright and fresh again the next day. Which, thanks to spring break, meant I didn't have to go back to kindergarten, and was able to spend the day playing with Leia. I remember all through 1979, when we go to the various toy aisles, my mother would always check to see if there were clothes that we could buy for Leia. We'd discovered that clothes for Barbie didn't quite fit her, nor did the various Mego dresses for Cher. We'd had luck with an old discounted and marked down outfit for a strange-looking doll called Dusty from Kenner, and a few of the outfits for Kenner's Darcy doll fit okay, as did a few of the Bionic Woman doll outfits. My mother had resorted to sewing some stuff for me, but none of my mother's creations fit intergalactic adventure. And the off-the-shelf stuff all made Princess Leia look like an Earthling. I knew by this point she was played by Carrie Fisher, due to Carrie Fisher's appearance in 1978 on Saturday Night Live to promote the Star Wars Holiday Special, but I wasn't the kind of kid who would have played with the doll of a celebrity, although most of my friends were. There were a lot of Cher and Farrah Fawcett dolls in my neighborhood, and the girl next door had Donnie and Marie. Also, there was a girl in our neighborhood who had a Kitty O'Neil doll, which I later found out was the stunt woman who did all of Linda Carter's stunts in Wonder Woman. But in the 1970s, it left me scratching my head because who the heck is Kitty O'Neil? When 1980 came along, I remember seeing Boba Fett and IG-88 in Empire Strikes Back boxes on store shelves and wondering where the Empire Strikes Back Leia was. And would we be getting Lobot? I really liked Lobot. He had those puffy sleeves. By 1981, the large-size figures were no longer on shelves, except a few in the discount aisle. And I'd accepted there would be no more. I had my four, Leia, Luke, Vader, and Chewbacca, as those first four had been the easiest to find in our area. Most of the stores around us didn't even order any of the other waves. Only the toy stores and the malls of our area seemed to get any of the large-size figures outside of the first four. My only real knowledge of what figures were in the later waves was what showed up in the catalogs that came to my grandparents' houses. And my douchebag classmate Zachary, who brought his large-size R2-D2 to school one day. He lost one of the Death Star plans on the playground and started sobbing loudly because he wasn't supposed to have brought it to school. He'd snuck it out past his mom, and he was going to get into trouble for losing it. We love that for him. Suck it, Zachary, wherever you are today. You're still a douche, I bet. During the decline of the line, when the original 4 large-size figures were put on discount in our town, my mother picked up a second large-size Leia for me. The box was a bit battered, but the original box from my Easter Leia was still in amazing shape, even though the figure herself was not. That box with the second Leia still sits on my shelf to this day. I've also picked up a couple fixer-uppers from eBay over the years with the intention of customizing them into the various Leias from other movies and from the proposed never-produced outfits and variants for the large-size line. There's something about that large-size Leia, even to this day, that always takes me back to that moment in 1979 when I saw her sitting on the kitchen table in an Easter basket, surrounded by fake green grass and candy. I can still smell the plastic as she came out of the box in the back of my nose and get that hit of nostalgia that I think is the main reason most of us are adult toy collectors. And with that, we end this episode of My Favorite Toy. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, you should hit the like and think about subscribing and setting the bell notification so you'll be notified of future episodes. Once again, I'm Allison Troy, Retro Toy Princess, and I'll see you in the next one.